Alright guys, you know one thing this movie made me realize after I watched it? It made me realize how much I hate limited releases. Hey there guys, what's up? It's Autobot-Mike18 here with another movie review. This is a very long and overdue movie review because of what I just mentioned. But nevertheless, here is my movie review for Spike Jonze's newest film, Her. Now, as I said, guys, I hated limited releases. I said in the intro, this film was given a limited release. This movie came out December 18th. And I'm just seeing it now. January 18th. Today's January 18th. Wow. That's sad. As you guys can tell, I absolutely hate limited releases, and I hate them because they never come to my theater, and I always see them too late, and I missed seeing a great, great film like this movie because it was given a limited release. But nevertheless, as long as I got a chance to see it, I'm happy I got to see it. So, guys, Spike Jonze's Her, I was definitely looking forward to it. I was especially looking forward to it because of all of the awards love it's been getting. It just won the Golden Globe for Best Original Screenplay. It just got nominated for Best Picture and Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars. So you know that I was looking forward to seeing this movie. And it's such a shame that after watching this movie, I didn't get to see it when it really came out in December. Because this is a 2013 movie. It's not a 2014 film. But it's such a shame I didn't get to see this in December because it would have not only made my top 10 list, but I made a tribute video to my top 10 favorite films of 2013, and I would have put this movie in there. I couldn't because I didn't see it. Now I'm upset. Anyway, guys, yes, as you can tell, I adored this movie. I love Her. It's without a doubt one of my favorite films of 2013, not 2014. This is not a 2014 movie. So when I make my best of 2014 video, I'm not going to include this film because it's a 2013 movie in my book. So guys, yeah, I really enjoy this movie, as I knew I would. I knew it would be good. I knew the screenplay would be so good. I just can't wait to rave about this film in this review. So let's get to it, guys. I want to get officially into my review of the movie. The first thing I do want to start talking about is the story, which is written by the director himself. The screenplay is written by Spike Jonze, and as I said, it's been getting a lot of awards love. And after watching the movie, I'm like, yeah, the screenplay definitely deserved that Best Original Screenplay Oscar nomination. And I kind of hope it wins now. It really is deserving of that. So anyway, guys, Her is a film that is set sometime in the future. And you could tell, like, in one of the first opening scenes of the movie with what Joaquin Phoenix's character is doing, you're like, oh, wow, this is definitely a futuristic set film. But anyway, in this movie, Joaquin Phoenix plays Theodore Twombly. I hope I'm saying that right. He's a very lonely, kind of antisocial man. He lives by himself. He's just getting through a divorce from his wife, played by Rooney Mara. And he isn't officially divorced yet, but you can definitely tell he's lonely. He spends his nights alone. And in this futuristic world, they've released operating systems, these OSs for short. And Joaquin Phoenix decides to buy one, and he sets it up, and he decides to make it have a female personality, and he wants it to be a female. So, you know, he begins talking to this operating system. You know, it helps him with his emails and everything. You know, it takes care of a lot of things for him. You know, he just pops in an earpiece, and there he begins talking to it. So, the operating system is voiced by Scarlett Johansson. She calls herself in the movie Samantha. So Theodore and Samantha, you know, they begin to bond, obviously, because this is his operating system. And at some point in the film, you know, they begin to grow closer with each other. And soon after a while, he winds up in a relationship with his operating system. So he's dating his own computer. And he can't even see her because she's not real. It's just a voice in his earpiece, essentially. And at some point, midway in the film, he begins to fall in love with his own operating system. And that's basically all I want to say about the movie without spoiling anything. I don't want to give anything away with this movie, but I know a lot of people, after hearing that, if you've never watched the trailer for this movie, a lot of you are going to be like, what? That's the premise of this movie? That's silly, that's dumb, that's outrageous, that's what you guys are all going to say. And fine, I don't blame you. when I first heard the premise of this movie, I'm like, wow, that's pretty far-fetched. That is a little outrageous. How in the world would that ever happen? But you know what? As I'm watching the movie, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh yeah, I could see this happening to several people in the future if this is how our future could look like at some point, which I truly do believe. Like, there are several things that happen in this movie. I'm like, oh yeah, that's our future. That's how far we've grown to technology. But anyway, yeah, it seems outrageous at first, but you know what? It really is a brilliant story, a brilliant screenplay by Spike Jonze, and I just loved every single second of this story, really. I mean, I didn't find this movie slow or boring. It was comical. It was funny in several scenes. The relationship banter, and I'll get into all that later on. But it's just, I love so many things with the story of this movie. And it may seem outrageous to you guys, but no. Looking at it now, no, it really isn't. And I'll explain why I feel it isn't outrageous. But regardless of that, that's the story behind her. Now, I really quickly, guys, I want to get into the performances of the movie because there have been a lot of, a lot of people are upset that Joaquin Phoenix was snubbed for Best Actor, and a lot of people were even buzzing about Scarlett Johansson getting nominated for Best Supporting Actress for her voice role in the movie, which is very, very rare. I don't think that's ever happened, to be honest, you getting nominated for voicing a role in a movie. But let's talk about Joaquin Phoenix for a second. I would agree that he was snubbed for Best Actor. He was so good in this movie. Like, even in the beginning of the movie, before he even meets his operating system, before he, sets it up, I definitely bought his character and the fact that he was this lonely guy. You just tell by his facial expressions, by what he does by himself alone. I mean, I really felt for this guy, and my heart broke for Joaquin Phoenix's character, and that's because of how good his performance was. At several points in the movie, my heart broke for him. It did. And that's why Joaquin Phoenix is just a genius in this movie, and I love what he did with the character. He made this character feel like a real lonely person, and you really do feel bad for his character at several points in this movie, especially a little bit before the end. That's all I'm going to say, though, but he was great in this movie, and I know that he's been nominated before, but it would have been nice to see him nominated. It was great that he got nominated for the Golden Globe, but it went to Leo. That was probably a little bit more well-deserved, but I'm not going to get into that. That's another story for another day. But he really was fantastic. He carried the movie without a doubt being the star, and he just gave a really real, genuine, heartfelt performance in this movie, and he was great. As for the supporting cast, Amy Adams comes in, and she's kind of like his neighbor. She's important in the movie in several scenes, and she was great. She's had a pretty impressive year. Man of Steel, American Hustle, her pretty good year for Amy Adams. Who else is in the movie? Olivia Wilde comes in for a scene. She was great in her one scene. Nothing spectacular, just a good performance. She was only in one scene. But Rooney Mara also is in the movie. She plays his wife, as I said. They're in the middle of that divorce. But she was good in her scenes. Rooney Mara is a really good actress. I always like watching what she does in her movies. And finally, I've saved one of the best parts of the movie for last, of course. Scarlett Johansson as the operating system Samantha, her voice. Now, of course, it's unfortunate to not see her physical appearance in this movie because let's face it, it's marvelous. Okay, but just hearing her voice, it's just, yeah, her voice in this movie was wow. But yeah, Scarlett Johansson does a great job in the movie. Something I'll talk more about later. Their relationship, their dialogue sequences were excellent, and Scarlett Johansson just does a really great job. And I gotta give it to her and Joaquin Phoenix. It must have been very hard to read their lines, to act out their lines, especially if they weren't, together. Like Joaquin Phoenix, he's walking around several times and he's talking to himself essentially because Scarlett Johansson's not there. He just has the earpiece. Now, were they playing her voice and letting him act out the scenes with her voice playing as they were filming the movie, or was he just talking and reacting and emoting without her voice even being there? I gotta go look that up. Because if he was just doing it without hearing her voice at all, that's freaking amazing. Like, that is great acting there. And same thing with Scarlett Johansson. Was Joaquin Phoenix there talking to her as she was recording her lines of dialogue for the movie? I gotta go figure that out. But nevertheless, two great performances there. One voice and one live action performance from Joaquin. He did a great job in the movie, without a doubt. So moving on, guys. I'm going to officially give my rating for the film. Now, I know a lot of you might be upset. A lot of you may want me to go all the way with my rating. While I absolutely love this film, and I really don't have any problems with it when looking back on it, this is really a near-perfect film. Do I feel it's a flawless, perfect film? It almost is, but do I feel it's absolutely worthy of a 10? Is it a perfect movie that I absolutely loved? I really love this movie, but it's just not worthy of a 10 in my opinion. That I may be a little biased by saying that, but it was still a really great film, and I'm going high with my rating because I loved it. I can't wait to watch it again. I'm giving her a 9.5 out of 10. Almost got it to a 10, but just didn't because I don't know, feel me giving this movie a 10, I just don't feel it's right. But I bet you if I watch this movie a second time, and that's what I want to talk about, I will definitely give this movie a 10. But regardless of that, let's get into a few other things that I liked about the movie. As I already talked about, the performances were great. Joaquin Phoenix, Scarlett Johansson, they were all excellent in the movie. Spike Jonze's direction, he did a great job directing this movie, directing these actors. Really, really great job, and it's a little unfortunate he wasn't nominated for Best Director. He really did a great job, and I've never seen one of his movies before. I think this is the first Spike Jonze film I watched. I didn't see Where the Wild Things Are or his two other films, being John Malkovich or Adaptation, but now, I don't know, I might be a little interested into watching them, but he did a great job directing. The cinematography was, wow, it was gorgeous. The soundtrack was great. The score was great. Of course, I'm going to talk about the screenplay for the very last. I'm going to save it for the end because that's the best part of the movie. But the score was great. The soundtrack was great. Excellent. I loved the filming locations that they picked for this movie. There are a lot of great shots, with the skyscrapers, Joaquin Phoenix in bed at night, and it makes for some really great shots in this movie. So I loved the locations they picked to film the movie. And finally, guys, there's a great scene on the beach that I really liked. But the number one thing that I must rave about with this film is, without a doubt, the writing. The best original screenplay by Spike Jonze. This movie is one of the most original films I've seen in 2013. Of a 2013 movie. It's up there, and it deserves every single nomination it gets for best original screenplay, without a doubt. I mean, it's a genius screenplay. It's smartly written. It's funny. There are some really, as I said, I think I mentioned this earlier, there are some really comical scenes in the movie. Whether it's between, relationship banter or whatever it is, there are some really comical scenes in this movie. It's just a very well-written piece of filmmaking, and that's why I loved her. And I'm going to get into a few other things with the writing. I love the setting with this movie. That just blew me away, was the setting in this movie. This is definitely a future that is believable. Spike Jonze has created a believable future. I can see us falling in love with our operating systems if we ever have something like that in the future. I see that happening because that happens nowadays. We have grown so attached and we're so connected to technology, and that's I think that was the main message, one of the main messages Spike Jonze was trying to show to us, how close we are to our technology. Because it's not just Joaquin Phoenix who falls in love with his operating system. Like they mention in the movie, everyone is growing attached to these operating systems and they're just relying on them way too much. And it's so true, because I see this happening in the future. That's one thing I loved about the screenplay. It definitely shows us where we will be in the future. It definitely does. And above all, apart from how funny the screenplay is, how sweet and heartbreaking it is, because there are some really sweet scenes in this movie. There are some scenes that did break my heart, and because it is definitely that kind of romantic movie. But another thing that I loved with the screenplay was just what it shows us about love and relationships, how love affects us, how relationships affect us, how we act, our behavior and all that. And because it's all affected by love. And I definitely connected with that message in the movie. And I connected with Joaquin Phoenix's character when, he felt lonely and stuff like that. Because we all feel like that when we're not with someone in a relationship or something like that. And I just loved how the film concluded. And it was just a really well-written film with, as I said, a really, truly best original screenplay. It was fantastic. The relationship banter, the dialogue scenes were so well written between Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson. It was great. I love everything about the writing and everything. As I said, the directing, cinematography, everything is really, really great with this film. It's a near masterpiece, in my opinion. It's a great romance movie, a great movie about love and relationships. And I really don't want to say anything else about love or explain anything else. I don't want to give anything away. So as I said, 9.5 out of 10 for me. If I had to pick a problem, I'd say this is the type of movie you have to watch twice. You got to really study this movie. I want to watch this movie a second time. As soon as I finished watching it, I told myself, I want to watch this movie again as soon as I can, because it is just that movie that you need to really analyze the messages, the themes, everything that it's trying to say about love and everything like that. And I need to watch this movie again for that reason. So that's all I have to say about her, guys. It's a great film that I highly recommend check out. Definitely deserves every Oscar that it got nominated for. I can't wait to buy it on Blu-ray and watch it again. As I said, it's just a really sweet, touching, funny, heartbreaking film that I think you guys will really enjoy. And that's her. Definitely go out and check out Spike Jonze's Her. Let me know, guys, what you thought of it down below in the comments. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think it was outrageous, even though it was such a great movie? Let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed my review. Bye, guys.